In the heart of Rome, a colossal ruin stands as a silent witness to nearly 2,000 years of history. This is the Colosseum, one of the most recognizable structures in the world and a defining symbol of the Roman Empire. But beyond its monumental size and iconic arches, the Colosseum represents far more than just ancient entertainment. It is a testament to Roman politics, engineering mastery, social hierarchy, and imperial power. To truly understand the Colosseum, we must journey back to its very beginning. The story starts in 72 AD, during the reign of Emperor Vespasian. Rome was just emerging from a period of intense political chaos following the death of the infamous Emperor Nero. Nero had ruled as an autocrat, and his extravagance was legendary. He had built an enormous private palace, the Domus Aurea, or Golden House, on land that had once been open to the public. When Vespasian came to power, he needed to restore public trust and distance his new Flavian dynasty from Nero's excesses. His solution was a stroke of strategic genius. Vespasian ordered the construction of a vast amphitheatre right on the site of Nero's artificial lake, a core part of the Domus Aurea. In doing so, he was symbolically and literally returning the land to the Roman people. This grand new structure would become known as the Flavian Amphitheatre, but history would remember it as the Colosseum. The scale and speed of its construction were astonishing. The Colosseum was completed in just 8 years, officially opening in 80 AD under Emperor Titus. Imagine the scene: a structure rising over 48 meters high, built primarily from travertine limestone, volcanic rock, and the revolutionary Roman concrete. It was an architectural marvel that could hold more than 50,000 spectators. Its design was just as groundbreaking. The Colosseum featured a complex system of arches and vaults, which not only provided structural support but also created a stunning visual rhythm. It had 80 numbered entrances, a brilliant system for crowd control that allowed tens of thousands of people to enter and exit the building quickly and efficiently. This concept is so effective that it's still used in modern stadiums today. Inside, the seating was strictly tiered, a perfect reflection of Roman social hierarchy. Senators and elites sat closest to the action, while the common people, and eventually women and the enslaved, occupied the higher, less desirable seats. At the center of it all lay the arena, a wooden floor covered with sand. The sand was there for a very practical and grim reason: to soak up the blood that was inevitably spilled. But the real magic, the element of surprise and spectacle, happened beneath the arena floor. This was the hypogeum, an extensive underground network of tunnels, elevators, and holding cells. Imagine the darkness down there, a labyrinth where animals and gladiators waited before being suddenly lifted into the blinding light of the arena through trapdoors and mechanical platforms. This underground system enabled elaborate staging and dramatic entrances, turning each event into a carefully choreographed and breathtaking spectacle. Of course, when we think of the Colosseum, we think of gladiators. Gladiatorial combat was the most famous and popular event held within these walls. The gladiators themselves came from all walks of life. Many were enslaved individuals, prisoners of war, or convicted criminals forced to fight. But surprisingly, some were free men who volunteered, lured by the promise of fame, fortune, and a chance to escape poverty. They trained in specialized schools, becoming highly skilled and valuable investments for their owners. And contrary to what you might see in movies, not every gladiatorial fight ended in death. A gladiator was an expensive asset, and killing them off needlessly wasn't good for business. Still, it was an incredibly dangerous profession, and the life expectancy of a gladiator was brutally short. Victory could bring immense fame, wealth, and even freedom, but defeat often meant a swift and public death. The crowd's roar, The emperor's thumbs were the ultimate arbiters of life and death on the sands of the arena. But gladiators were only part of the show. Another major attraction was the Venetians, or wild animal hunts. Exotic and fearsome animals were captured and transported to Rome from every corner of the vast empire. Lions from Africa, leopards from the East, bears from Germany, and even elephants and crocodiles were brought to the Colosseum to demonstrate Rome's absolute dominance over the natural world and its conquered territories. These magnificent creatures were forced to fight against trained gladiators, against other animals, or against condemned prisoners in horrifying displays of power. Historical sources suggest that over the centuries the Colosseum was in use. Hundreds of thousands of animals were slaughtered in its arena. It was a brutal form of entertainment that showcased the reach and might of the Roman Empire in the most visceral way possible. The Colosseum also served a darker, more political purpose. It was a stage for public executions. Criminals, rebels, and enemies of the state were executed in highly theatrical and cruel ways, sometimes forced to reenact gruesome scenes from mythology for the entertainment of the crowd. These spectacles were designed to do more than just punish the guilty. They were a clear and terrifying message from the state. They reinforced Roman authority, instilled fear, and helped to maintain social order. In ancient Rome, entertainment and punishment were two sides of the same coin. But like the empire it represented, the Colosseum's glory was not to last forever. By the 5th century AD, the Roman Empire was in a steep decline. Economic strain, political instability, and constant invasions from outside forces meant that the public funding for large-scale games dried up. Christianity's rise also brought a shift in moral values, and gladiatorial combat was eventually banned. The Colosseum fell into disuse. Over the centuries, it suffered from neglect and natural disasters. Earthquakes caused significant damage to its southern side, creating the iconic, partially ruined silhouette we see today. More devastatingly, its stone was plundered. The Colosseum became a massive quarry. Its travertine blocks and marble decorations stripped away and repurposed for other construction projects throughout Rome, including St. Peter's Basilica. For hundreds of years, the once mighty amphitheatre stood as a hollowed-out ruin, a ghost of its former self. It wasn't until the 18th century that a new appreciation for the Colosseum began to grow. Efforts to preserve it started, and it was recognized not just as an ancient ruin, but as a priceless cultural and historical monument. Pope Benedict XIV declared it a sacred site, consecrated to the memory of the Christian martyrs who were believed to have died there. This marked a turning point in its history, from a quarry to a protected landmark. Today, the Colosseum is a UNESCO World Heritage Site and one of the most visited landmarks on Earth. It has become a global symbol of ancient civilization, a powerful reminder of both the incredible achievements and the deep contradictions of the Roman Empire. The Colosseum is so much more than just stone and arches. It is a living record of Roman society, its values, its power, and its enduring legacy. Within its crumbling walls, we see the profound complexity of human civilization. A civilization capable of both extraordinary creativity and breathtaking brutality. Nearly 2,000 years after the last gladiator left its arena, the Colosseum continues to stand, telling its epic and often brutal story to the world. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this journey into the past as fascinating as I did, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you don't miss our next historical deep dive.